everybody. I'm Christian Holub for Entertainment Weekly, and I'm here at New York Comic Con 2019 with the cast of Netflix's She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are kind of here fresh out of your New York Comic Con panel, where you dropped a lot of news about season 4, which is coming November 5th to Netflix. And even though, you know, streaming has kind of changed the definition of season, basically what this is going to amount to is like 4 seasons in the span of a year, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think, yeah, there's been a pretty busy year for you guys.
I know, it just never stops.
Well, what is it, you know, kind of about the world and the characters that you think is so rich to have already, you know, gone through so much with these people in such a short amount of real time?
I always just feel like these characters, they feel like they're kind of alive, and so much of that is a credit to you guys who just crush it all the time. But yeah, they feel like they're our friends, kind of, that like we know them, and watching them grow through the course of this series, it's like, I don't know, it gives me the feeling that I imagine like a proud parent has, even when they're making bad decisions, I'm still proud of them, you know? But yeah, they just, I think the characters feel real to me, at least, and so much of that is because of you guys, and I think that there's just so many stories to be mined from them and from their dynamics. Every time they're in a new situation, the amount of stories that we can tell are like limitless.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the struggles that they go through are very relatable. And I wanted to point out that I'm so stoked about the artwork because you can see that they're growing. You know, Baby Glimmer is looking a little bit older in the new upcoming season, so watch out for that as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let's go right in with Glimmer because she's in kind of a different status quo in this season. After her mom's sacrifice at the end of last season, she's no longer Princess Glimmer, she's Queen Glimmer. And for a show where the word princess is kind of so key and so important, you know, how does it kind of change the dynamic that one of our main characters is now a queen, like a monarch?
I think, you know, it's hard for her because she doesn't really have the time to grieve, and she's not given the time to really think about her loss. On top of that, she has these new responsibilities as queen, and you saw in the first episode her coronation. It's hard, you know, she's always needed to get validation, and the one person that could have given her validation is now gone. So she has put a lot of pressure on herself to become this queen, and I don't think she was ready yet.
And she's not the only one with kind of a promotion, I guess, because Catra is also steadily moving up in the ranks of the Horde, and yet I guess kind of the curse of her life is that as high as she gets, there's always somebody above her. And you know, whether it was she couldn't please Shadow Weaver and then went above her, and there was Hordak, and now she's at this plane, but Horde Prime is coming. You know, where's Catra at these days going into season 4?
I don't think I realized the intensity of Horde Prime yet. I think that for Catra, she's like, oh, sure, like, all right, Hordak, we get it. He's coming. Yeah, we've sent the message, but is he ever going to get here? Right. But I think there is you know, there's a glimmer in the back of her mind that she's like, gosh, maybe he will come, and maybe he'll be the guy that puts Hordak in his place. I mean, who knows? It could go either way. But Catra is really loving being on top right now, and you're going to see Catra and Glimmer at some point go head to head. I mean, that poster kind of says it all. You have me on the throne. You have Glimmer at the center of, you know, Etheria, being now that she's the new queen, and I think that, you know, you're going to see a new rival. It's really been Adora and Catra head to head, and you're going to see a new battle kind of take place. It's going to be really cool.
Showdown.
Yeah, it's gnarly. It's a crazy fight coming up.
I think Catra always, well, no, she doesn't always land on her feet. She never lands on her feet. But she'll like land and then roll a little bit and then land on her feet. So it's like she always can turn on any situation to her advantage. And in this case, it's like, I think she knows she made a mistake in the last season with the portal, but she's using it to her advantage and just immediately has Hordak in the palm of her hand. So, I mean, that's what I mean when I'm like kind of proud of her, but also stop it.
I'm like, all right, well, maybe don't send Entrapped to the Beast Island. Like, that's pretty messed up.
Close.
But, yep, we're gonna get you back on track, girl.
A little baby out to destroy people.
So bad. She's so bad.
And we see a little bit of this at the beginning of season 4, but it seems like, you know, Catra's gotten farther than she ever has, but she's also, done some bad things, like to entrap us. So is Scorpia kind of like her conscience now, or kind of reminding her that, whether she's listened to or not, like.
Right. Well, I think Scorpia is a little bit shocked, truly.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Scorpia obviously wants to see the good in everybody and believes in the good in Catra and always has. But now she has kind of a tangible example of like, that was a bit, right? Like, we're gonna go back and get her, and then when it's like, no, we're not gonna go back to get her, she deserved it. I think that Scorpia is starting to finally question, oh my gosh, who is this person who I have literally devoted my life to? And that causes her to kind of have some introspection. So it's a cool season for Scorpia because obviously everything that she held dear, she's now kind of questioning, and we get to kind of follow her on that journey through this season.
Yeah, and I think Catra, when she looks at Scorpia, she sees her guilt at this point because Scorpia was there. She saw everything. And so I think that while Catra just started to open herself up just a little bit to Scorpia, and now it's like, the door is slammed shut. Like, Scorpia is everything. Like, she's so earnest, she's so open, and seeing her I think it reminds Catra how much she messed up.
And speaking of Catra, seeing the episode screening at your panel earlier, which I think you guys said was the first time you screened it with an audience.
Yeah,
or
we've
been
never
there.
screened an episode like that.
Well, I'm curious because you've got a pretty raucous reception, particularly like there was applause every time Catra was on screen. And she's such a fascinating character because like as the show goes, she continues to do worse and worse things. It seemingly has no interest really in redemption. But whenever we get peeks behind the curtain at like how oppressed she felt by Shadow Weaver or whatever, I don't know. There seems to be something in her that people really respond to. What do you think is kind of relatable about her, even as she gets darker and darker?
I think there's a story I really wanted to tell with Catra, which I don't think we get to tell very often with female characters, which is what happens when you're the toxic friend? What happens when you've messed up and hurt your friends and pushed people away? Sometimes you don't get better right away. And I think that that's a place that, a lot of people find themselves in. It is something real that happens. Is there a chance that you could make it right? Where do you even start sometimes? I think, I know a lot of it is drawn from, my experiences as well and the other writers and the other crew members. I think we see ourselves, it's so rare to be able to see, especially a female character who gets to just be angry, furious, messy, hurtful, destructive, all of these things that we just don't get to see. We see like Adora, for example, she struggles with a lot of the same stuff, but she's always trying to push through, and Catra is just stewing in this rage and this misery. And I think those are two very real responses from people who've been through a lot, who are dealing with a loss of control in the only way that they know how.
I think it's really key and a testament to your writing just how important and how drawn out the arcs are of each character, because it's not just a quick one and done moment for Catra right now. We're not seeing the redemption right now, and that's okay. It's going to take time. And so I think it's important that these characters are being like honored properly in the sense that this is who they truly are right now, and we're seeing them even if it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Just the way they are.
All right, well, I don't want to let you guys go without asking about She-Ra herself, because she is not quite... does not seem to have as quite a radical shakeup at the start of the season as some of the other characters, but she still discovered recently that she's not from Etheria, she's a being from another world. Is she still going to be reckoning with that and processing that?
I think that she feels a little bit relieved that she now knows where she comes from, or she has an idea, she's the first one. I think her struggle this season is, I don't think she ever questioned her relationship with Glimmer. I don't think it was anything that was on her radar as, I don't know, anything that would change or shift. Glimmer has been such a touchstone for her in the last, however long she's had a relationship with her. So I think it comes out of nowhere for her, where she's like, oh, all of a sudden this person that, we had so much in common, we have so much love between each other. It's a different kind of relationship from her and Catra, which is very toxic and passionate and all of this other stuff. And with Glimmer, it's sort of like a new challenge in a female friendship that maybe she wasn't expecting.
Well, I also think that's kind of where it started with Adora and Catra as well.
Yeah.
I don't think Adora ever questioned her relationship with Catra either until, she was forced to. But yeah, I think that it's sort of, Adora likes having a job. So if there's something that's like, here's my purpose, here's what I'm meant to do, and I think she feels like she has that at the beginning of this season. And you know, if part of that is being Glimmer's champion, her kind of like, you know, golden knight, then she feels great because it's clear what it is she's supposed to do. And I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that does not quite. That rug gets pulled out from her at some point.
Crazy is that people who are busy all the time, they complain about being busy, but they need it.
Yeah.
And she needs a project, she needs a job, and so when all of a sudden someone else is taking charge, it's tough. It's tough to let go of the reins.
Yeah.
All right, well then just as a last bonus, Noelle, I think people who follow you on Twitter probably know that you came into possession of a pretty cool sword yourself lately.
did.
Does it feel as awesome as She-Ra makes it seem?
It is so cool. Okay, all right, so I just got married. It was a wedding present. The sword featured heavily in the wedding. My favorite part, I look over, my uncle is like 6'5", and he comes out and he has the sword above his head and is like dancing onto like the dance floor. I'm like, wow. Well, first I was...
he screamed for the honor.
And so the sword was like on the dance floor, and I'm like, someone is gonna get hurt. But no one got hurt, so try it at home, kids. Don't try it at home.
A sword miracle.
Yeah,
All
it's
right, well,
amazing.
Thank you guys so much for coming, and stay tuned to Entertainment Weekly for continuing coverage of New York Comic Con 2019.